You don't know that
I don't know that life.
There were tiny cockroaches everywhere. I was so disgusted.
Welcome back, everybody, to Nor Speaks Out. I'm Nor, and as always, this channel is all about African history and diaspora stories. I am really excited today to introduce a fellow YouTuber. Many of you know her already, who's going to tell us about her story and her experiences of moving from the wonderful Uganda to the UK. So if you don't mind,
Let's call me Cissy, of course.
Cissy.
Yes. Hello to no subscribers. Welcome to her channel.
Yes.
My name is Cissy. I'm a subscriber as well, and I love her channel. I first landed on your channel with a video with your mom.
Yeah.
And then I listened to the story and I loved it so much.
Oh.
And what I loved was that you were Banyankole. There are a few Banyankole on the internet. We know you're there,
hey,
but you don't see them out there. But there's a lot of Baganda in the diaspora also, and a lot of Baganda channels. And I know some people might think I'm Uganda because I do a lot of Luganda. I talk to my kids in Luganda, but I am not. I'm originally Nyankole. So here I am.
Let everyone know.
Yes, I'm here back to my roots. And yes, I'm a Ugandan medical doctor. I am a mom, a sister, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter. And actually, you asked me where I was born and raised.
Yes.
And it's interesting that I was actually born in Iganga Hospital specifically.
Where is
Iganga Hospital is in eastern Uganda.
Okay.
So my mom is a Samia. Samias are a tribe in eastern Uganda and at the border of Uganda and Kenya. So actually the tribe is both in Kenya and in Uganda.
Okay.
So I even have some relatives who are Kenyan.
Yeah.
But then the reason they're Kenyan is because the British came and they put a line and said, now this is Uganda, now this is Kenya. But actually, we are somewhere, the same people.
And you were all one before.
So my parents did their traditional function, their intro. Today is actually my own intro anniversary.
Congrats.
Thank you. And so they did their traditional function, the Kwanjula, the day before I was born.
Hey.
Yes.
Okay.
Waiting for the last moment.
So that's mum's from the east.
Yes.
Dad is from
the west. So my dad is Amnyankole.
Okay.
So then they had gone for the function. So then they were traveling back. They used to live in Kampala. And so then labor. I said it is time. I was ready. So I was really born on that way.
But like where?
In Iganga Hospital. So it was on the way to Kampala. They were coming back home. So
you're one of those difficult children.
I was. Yeah. So that's why they called me a twin, because they said God was with them. Oh. Because my name means word for word. It's literally is God has us.
Okay.
But in actual sense, it's God is with us.
God is with us. Okay.
So God was with them, and so then I was born safely in Uganda.
In Uganda,
the Pearl of Africa.
Yeah, on the way from the east, on your way to Kampala.
Yes.
And what was the name of the hospital? Sorry.
Iganga Hospital.
Iganga. Okay.
Last time I checked, was really run down.
But that's why you said I'm going to be a doctor. We're going to improve this situation.
No.
Okay.
No. Sorry. I became a doctor because my parents told me to.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, fair. At least you listened. I'm surprised because you were trying to come out a little bit too on the adventurous side of life with the birth. So I thought you'd be a little bit more of a disobedient child, to be honest.
I was. I think I had phases because life has been long, although it's short. Like I'm told when I was little, I was obedient. I used to do what I was told. I wasn't a difficult child.
Okay.
Apparently, that's what my parents say.
Okay.
When I became a teenager, I became really difficult. That's when I met my husband, and I was in love, and I didn't want to hear anything else. Okay. So I became really difficult. Yes.
As a young person and an adult.
Yes.
Born in Uganda.
Yeah.
And I guess sort of East Uganda.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Eastern Uganda.
And raised? Where were you raised then? In Kampala?
In Kampala. I was raised in Kampala. We lived in Kampala City.
Kampala City.
In the town. Yeah, in the town, like old Kampala. If you know Martin Road, viewers, do you know Martin Road? No, comment below if you know Martin Road. So
that's your street.
Yes, that's where I grew up in town. In town, really.
Okay.
Very near to the old taxi park.
Yes.
Walking distance. Very the hustle and bustle of the city. That's where I was raised.
Okay. And all your schooling
was in
Primary,
Kampala because I
secondary,
used to
Kampala.
walk to City Parents School. So the school was called, it's still there, but they moved location, but it used to be in town. And it was called City Parents School. The first school was called Kitante Primary School, which is next to the Ghana Museum.
Okay.
And then after that, I went to Kitante Primary School. City Parents School. Then that was my primary school. Yeah. And we stopped living in town at some point and moved to Kajansi along Entebbe Road. Then we moved to Zana, which is now where my family still lives. Yeah.
That's still Kampala, like,
Yeah, I still Kampala.
but more kind of on the outskirts.
yeah,
I
a
guess.
bit of in the suburbs. Yeah.
Okay. How did you come to be in the UK? So this is childhood,
Yeah.
primary, secondary, and presumably you went to university as well and studied medicine.
In Makerere University
Makerere,
in Kampala.
of
So then
the place to be.
yes, and I was living in Katanga. It's a slum, one of the slum areas surrounding the university.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was a big hostel, the student hostel. So I was commuting. I'd move from the hostel to Mulago Hospital. So Mulago Hospital is where medical school is.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where I lived for 5 years of my life. And then when I finished medical school, I did my internship in Rubaga Hospital, which is also in Kampala.
Yeah, you're
Basically, I am
babe.
a Kampala. Really live in Kampala, yeah. I worked in Rubaga Hospital.
Yeah.
And when I finished my internship, I worked in a clinic called SAS Clinic that's on Bombo Road, which is just next to Kampala Road. Like Kampala Road,
Yeah.
when you continue, the same road
Yeah.
called Bombo Road. But that's where I was working. I worked there for a little bit, and then I got a job in Mulago Hospital,
Yeah.
which is also just like 30 minutes, maybe 10 minutes drive from SAS. So I worked, my last job was in Mulago Hospital. So from there is when I came to the UK.
Okay.
Yes.
Your first, I guess, experience outside of because everything is Kampala. What made you, like, you finished university now, what made you say, okay, I'm not going to go to the north, or I don't know, even Kenya? You said I'm UK. What was the reason you came here?
So I did move a little bit out of Kampala, a very little bit. When I got married, my husband was working in Mityana.
Oh.
It's a district, Mityana district. So it's a bit far, but I think it's still central Uganda. It's still central Uganda, but it's not in Kampala. It's like, I think it was 4 hours, I think, in a taxi. I think. Or maybe 2. I think 4 is too much. Maybe 2.5 hours in a taxi.
Okay.
Due to jam. So we lived there for like 2 weeks maybe.
Oh, okay.
Just 2 weeks, and then we moved. So the reason I chose the UK was, the main reason was because of a shorter master's program.
A master's program?
Yeah, their masters are shorter. The masters in the UK are shorter.
Yeah.
It's 1 year only. While my actual plan was to go to Canada. I wanted to go to Canada. And I didn't know at the time, but actually to go to Canada, to do a residency there as a doctor, you have to have permanent residency. In terms of immigration, you have to have permanent residency or at least be Canadian. So it was a dead end for me, but I didn't know. But I started going on that process. I even did exams. I did the first exam, and then I applied for the second exam, but then I didn't get a visa to go. And at the same time, because I didn't want to have a gap. I didn't want to have a gap where I'm just doing nothing.
Yeah.
By the time the Canadian residency program was due to start, I knew I would have 1 year gap between there. So I said, let me apply for a 1 year master's. And it was the UK that had 1 year master's.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the ones in the US are 2 years.
Yeah.
So I was like, a 1 year master's in the UK. I'll come for the 1 year, and then after the 1 year, I'll connect and go to Canada. That was my plan. Yeah. So that's how I ended up here.
Why did you want to leave Uganda anyway? So we know sort of why the UK, why Canada, but why?
I didn't want to leave Uganda.
Yeah.
I think my dad planted the seed in my mind. He said, he said that when I was when we were growing up, my dad was a policeman. And then after that, he got a job in the UN. When he got a job in the UN can pay for your tuition. You can pay for your tuition anywhere in the world. So that's what he used to always say. You can go anywhere in the world. So he opened my mind, anywhere in the world. So in my mind, I felt like I want to go anywhere in the world.
Anywhere.
But where I didn't know. But I just want to go somewhere out there.
Okay.
And then all my siblings had studied from abroad, except me. I was the home girl.
How many siblings?
I have 3 siblings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you the baby?
No, I'm not even.
You're not?
No,
Okay.
I'm the second of 4 children.
Okay.
But they were all going abroad. It was just me who was in Uganda. Eva.
Kampala,
I was
babe.
like, nah, when am I even near? I want to go out.
Okay.
Yeah. And also the situation at home wasn't good. Like, especially for like doctors. Even when I was doing my internship, we had to strike to get paid. In my hospital, we did not, because my hospital paid us in advance. They knew the government would pay them eventually. So for us, we didn't strike, but everyone else was striking to get paid just for their dues. And then also, I think it just looked like, because you watch a lot of TV, you see out there is glamorized.
That's true.
And out here, it looks like, wow, it looks really nice. I want to try that.
Okay. And Dad said you can go anywhere in the world.
And then my dad was always telling me I could go anywhere in the world that I wanted to go. So even applying for university, I applied for university in the UK, but they gave me pharmacy. They didn't give me medicine.
Okay.
And then I was like, yeah, I don't care. I can be a pharmacist. Please, Daddy, please let me go. And then he said, no. You do the course that you want to do anywhere in the world, but don't go there, because he knew I just wanted to come to the UK just. And which is the truth. I didn't care about the course. After all, I didn't want to do medicine that much. It's not something that I was feeling like I was dying to do medicine. No.
Okay.
I wasn't.
But he was like, you can go, but it has to be the proper course to do. But that wasn't the course you wanted to do anyway. It was what Dad and Mum wanted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was good. You were a very obedient girl. Very nice.
Yeah, I was like, okay, fine. So what I really wanted to do actually was either I wanted to do nursing.
Okay.
So that's where the medicine came in. Is that when I was in my S3, so 15 years old, I was in a boarding school. It's an all-girls Catholic boarding school, run by nuns and stuff. It's called Mount St. Mary's College, Namagunga.
Okay.
I think it's the best school in Uganda.
Okay.
If you disagree with me, you can comment below.
No arguments, please.
It's one of the older, missionary set-up schools.
Okay.
So in Uganda, traditionally, those are the better schools. They're good quality and so we used to have a job, or one of the positions in the school was looking after the sick people in the sick bay. So there was a sick bay, or we used to call it an infirmary. And so I was an infirmary supervisor. So I look after sick people.
And that's like sick students?
Unwell, yeah.
You guys, okay.
Yeah, so they would only let you go home if you were dying in that school. You would stay there. It was so hard to go home. One day I even broke my glasses. And then also my parents weren't helping. Instead, they just sent me a new pair. Or they brought a new pair. Yeah, it was so hard to leave.
Just work, focus on the books. Yes, don't come home.
Exactly. So anyway, I was there looking after the other sick kids. You bring them food, you serve them, you lay their beds. And I really enjoyed it.
You liked it.
I like looking after people. So then I said, you know what? I think I want to be a nurse. So then when I told my parents I want to be a nurse, they said, no, you will be a doctor.
I mean, it's in the same sort of field.
They were like, that's close enough.
Close, but we have to push.
But not really, though. It's the nurses that look after you.
Yeah.
I was admitted when I had a baby. I've been admitted a few times when I have a baby, usually. And it's the nurses that look after you.
Yeah.
The doctors just come and
quick.
Write and go away. But the nurses really look after you.
They care, yeah.
And that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be in that caring role.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But I still think I am now, especially the specialty that I do, which is psychiatry. It's still more caring, I think, more than the others.
More than the other, options in terms of medicine.
So surgeons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We talk to people.
Yeah.
And also in psychiatry, I think a big part of it is you yourself, you're the treatment in some way. The way you talk to the person. Yeah.
And the conversation
that
you're having with them and stuff, how you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, very nice. So, Kampala babe from the beginning.
Yeah.
Studied everything education-wise up until
Kampala.
university. Then you said, I can go anywhere in the world. Dad said I can do this UK thing if I'm doing medicine.
Yeah.
And then you decide now, okay, I'm going to come to the UK.
Yeah.
Do the 1-year masters.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your sort of the initial couple of like months when you came to the UK. Where did you come to? How was your experience of when you first moved here? When was it actually? Sorry, when did you first come?
So it was 6 years ago.
6 years.
Like once I got married, like my first month anniversary was in the UK. Yeah.
That's cute. So kind of honeymoon-ish.
Yeah. So, no, but I was by myself. My husband didn't come. His visa delayed.
Okay.
We were supposed to come together, but then his visa delayed. So then I had to come because school was starting, orientation was starting. And I was like, let me come and start settling in, and then we'll come later. So he came a few weeks later as well.
Okay.
When I arrived, so my university was in... it was 2 universities. My course was split between 2 universities.
Okay.
The London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine in central London.
Yeah.
And King's College London.
Okay.
The Institute of Psychiatry. Yeah, Denmark Hill. So I was living in Denmark Hill, Camberwell. Not Denmark Hill, but very, very close by. Like I used to walk to school.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So I arrived and I hated it. As soon as I arrived at Gatwick Airport. I was in tears. It was so cold.
Oh yeah. What like time of year?
September.
Okay.
It's not even that cold.
I was gonna. That's actually okay.
But it's really cold for a Kampala babe.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. For me, it was freezing, and then also, anyway, I was pregnant. Also.
Did you know you were pregnant?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I was like your mom.
I see. It's
I came with a hidden luggage.
Woman. Okay.
I was pregnant, so probably that's why I was more emotional.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I'd left my husband, and by the time I left him, I didn't know if he'd get the visa, because we'd applied for an express visa.
Okay.
But the process still took too long.
Okay.
So then I left him not knowing if he's got the visa. If he hasn't got the visa, I wasn't going to see him for months.
Yeah.
And if he had gotten, then I would see him shortly. But there was that issue of what if I've left him for a really long time.
Yeah.
I was sad about that. Then I was pregnant, I'm hormonal. Then I arrived and I'm freezing.
Yeah.
I was freezing. To me, I remember feeling like I'm freezing. I was so cold.
Yeah. And you're by yourself.
Yeah. And then my aunt picked me. So she picked me with my uncle and my cousins.
Okay.
But like, it took so long for me to go across immigration because the lines were so long that they had to go to school. So they left my aunt there.
Okay.
So she picked me up. She gave me her jacket over
her
shawl.
While you're like shivering.
Yeah, when I'm shivering. While we're waiting outside to be picked up because my uncle had gone to drop off the kids and come and pick me up.
Okay.
Yeah, and it looked so grey and dull and so cold and windy. Yeah, I didn't love it. Yeah.
No. Initially, you arrive, you're like, I'm not feeling this so much.
Yeah.
And so you came September kind of time,
September.
6 years ago. How did everything pan out with your husband's visa?
So luckily, he got the visa.
Okay.
About 2 weeks later.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and then he came as well. He came 3 weeks
quickly?
later. Yeah, quickly, like the next week.
Okay. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. So no stress.
Yeah. So then we moved. So I was staying with my uncles. Then we moved to London. I moved to London to get our own place. Our own place, but it was a house share.
I love how you do the...
Yeah. So it was a house share and it was a 5-bedroom house.
Yeah.
So with 4 other people. So then we're renting one room and sharing bathroom, toilet, kitchen.
Yeah.
With everyone else. And it was horrible. I didn't like it. Well, it looked nice before I moved in. But when I moved in on that first night, and then I saw cockroaches.
Okay.
I was like, what is this?
Hey,
so
London life.
I moved in 2 days before my husband came. And so I had to start sending him for Doom, like insecticide. Because the insecticide here is not as strong as the one back home. So then they told me, no. The ones you find in the shops not going to work. Send from Uganda.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So he had to come with insecticide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my. So, whoa. That's a welcome.
Yeah, there were tiny cockroaches everywhere. I was so disgusted.
Is that some of the stuff you saw when you were in Uganda, sort of, dreaming of this London?
No.
This UK?
I thought the streets were paved in gold. Also, you see how they show us in the movies. Although, to be fair, in Uganda, we don't watch a lot of British TV or British movies or shows, mostly American. But we just assume it's the same.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised. I was disappointed. And, I hated it. And then also, I was so cold and I didn't have proper, winter wear for the longest time.
Yeah.
I was just wearing my jacket that I bought, that I came with. And they kept saying, it's going to get worse. What do you mean you're cold? Like, it's not that cold. And it did keep getting worse. It did keep getting worse. The raining. And then in Uganda, I was having a good life, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I was living at home with my parents. We have a maid. We have a shamba boy. I don't do laundry. I just get my clothes, put in a laundry basket.
Yeah.
Find the bin washed, ironed. The food is cooked.
Hey.
You know that. You don't know that
I
life.
don't know that life. I'm like, what am I doing here?
I was like, you know this.
I know, you're like...
That's the Ugandan life. So I'm living in my parents' house.
Yeah.
I'm not paying a single bill.
Yeah.
In fact, the first year I worked, all the money, I just saved it. And that money was my life savings. That was my whole life savings when I moved here, which was finished in like a month, to be honest, because the cost of living as well.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, I had all these savings, all this money that will help me push me for some time.
Yeah.
So I come, and then I'm driving. So I was driving.
Driving here?
In Uganda.
Okay.
I was driving, but I chose not to most of the time. But I had a car to save money. I used to oversave it. In fact, if I would go back in time, I would tell myself to reduce it.
Reduce savings?
Yeah, over-saving. Yeah, like, enjoy your life. You don't have kids.
Wow.
And you're struggling, like, to save.
Oh,
like, I was an oversaver.
Okay.
I'm still a saver.
You're very sensible.
I'm very sensible, yeah.
Thinking ahead, trying to plan.
Yeah.
And that money that you had saved...
It did help us.
Yeah,
it did help us. So now I'm here, and then I'm having to use buses, standing in the rain, and then it was always raining, tiny, like the rain here is not like the rain in Uganda.
Yeah.
In Uganda, it rains and it pours at once.
It means it, yeah.
But then here, it rains just slightly, drizzling. And then the smoking. Yeah, my first impression was not nice. There was so much smoking, and I'm pregnant. I really felt like I was suffering. I kept feeling like I'm suffering. Why did I come to suffer? If I was by myself, I would have definitely gone back. But then I was with my husband.
Yeah.
And
So
he was not about that life, because he didn't want to go back, because for him, he was living a different life from me. He had been living in Mityana, which is like a village-ish area.
Yeah.
And his income was so low over there. Yeah. My income was a doctor's income in Uganda. I think a doctor's income, if you're a single person, not paying rent, not paying bills, for me the income was a lot, because I was saving it, and my income was for fun. Just date nights,
clothes
movies,
and fun. Yeah. You were really living sweet.
I was, but I didn't realize it.
What was your husband doing out there?
He was working in a bank. But like his job was really stressful. We've made a video with my husband, which you should go check out on my channel.
So I'll put some links to that.
Yeah, for him it was a bit tougher, to be honest. So for him, the comparison was that he was also seeing the future here, to be honest. He was right, because we had more potential here than if we go back home. And me, in that moment of being emotional and pregnant, and I felt like I would have gone back, but he kept pushing me and telling me, no, we're not going back. We need to try it out. Yeah.
So what was your plan then? Like, were you thinking come maybe for a couple of years, see how it goes, maybe even come here for a bit like you initially were planning, and then go to Canada, or what were you guys thinking?
So when we arrived here, by the time we arrived, the Canada plans had fallen through. I now saw that actually it was not an option. So
because of the residency. Yeah.
So we had to make it work here. Yeah. And now with him here, and now I was pregnant, now you have to think about the baby. So it's like, are you going to take your baby back to Kampala? Kampala is good when you have money, but we didn't have money, and also we left with nothing. Like, we had nothing of our own. Like, we got married, and then he was renting, like, his bachelor pad is where we lived for only 2 weeks, so we never actually established ourselves there. We never like built a house, nothing. So even now when we go to Uganda, we go to visit, we don't have our own place. So that makes it feel like you have to kind of build where you are, which is where we're here now.
That makes sense.
So we're here, we're going nowhere. If someone asks me, tells me to go back where I came from, I tell them I'm going nowhere.
I'm going nowhere. I'm come from here. It's official. Okay, so you're kind of like going with the flow a little bit. Yeah. And then again, just adjusting your plans depending on the situation, which makes sense.
Yeah, we're here now. So this is our home now.
This is it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you spoke a little bit about sort of the difficulty you had initially. Yeah. And then obviously being pregnant and, being cold. as this country generally is. Who, like, aside from your husband, of course, when he came, who else in this country helped you? Who did you have as a means of support?
Yeah, so my Uncle Frank and my Auntie Manuela, thank you so much if you watch this video. It was so nice. They made it so nice, such a nice welcome, because we kind of got plugged in into a wider social network.
Okay.
They already had their community here. I even had a surprise baby shower.
Oh.
And that made me so emotional. I cried so much.
I can imagine.
Because I remember feeling like when I was pregnant, I remember feeling like, now, poor me, I want to have a baby shower because all my friends are back in Uganda. Because I'd had a bridal shower because I have friends in Uganda.
Yeah.
And to the surprise, I had no idea. Those are the things I would envision, you know, for my pregnancy too. And I was like, oh, I'm so far away from anyone. That's never going to happen. But you know what? I had 2 baby showers.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause my friends from university surprised me too. And then also my friends here, like my auntie, and my aunties made a surprise baby shower.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Okay.
So really, in the end, all things work out for the good of those who serve the Lord. And,
Amen.
I believe that.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. So yeah, home is here now.
Home's here now. So you've got auntie, uncle,
Yeah.
sort of your initial sort of means, but then they sort of open the door to the other.
Yeah, so there's a huge Ugandan community where I live. And now we know people and
Okay.
yeah.
And there's a good amount of...
Yeah, I have social support here. Even where we live here, we had a family that have just moved away, but they were like 5 minutes walk. And I think their kids and our kids have basically grown up together.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and like sometimes I would borrow, like Martha, I'm talking about, if you ever watch this video, I would go borrow her pressure cooker because I never had one for ages. Or you need a teaspoon, like for measuring spoons, not regular teaspoons. Like baking stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So like those people that, you know, feel like family. And Greg also is going to be Micah's godfather.
Okay. And do you feel, if you didn't have that, do you think if you didn't have the additional sort of family that's come around you now since you've been here, do you think you would have maybe gone back to Uganda, or you would have stayed, but it just would have been like,
I think
painful?
It would have been painful.
Okay.
Yeah. I think people who are like isolated and lonely, it makes you feel a certain kind of way. Like it's not good for your mental health. But for me here now, I feel like I have family and friends here. I have people I can call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Also, sometimes you have to make this yourself. You have to intentionally make your own social support. Yeah. Like at church, we go to church, and I feel like the church community feels like family to some extent.
So you feel like you have to also be active.
Yes, yes. So one of Micah's godmother is an old white lady. From I met at church. Yeah, she adopted us. Yeah.
Oh.
She called me her daughter. So every time we come in, she gives you a hug and a kiss and gives the kids like toys and things. Like
grandma.
really grandma.
Yeah. Oh, that's sweet. Okay.
Yeah. So I think you just put yourself in spaces like that where you're going to meet other people. Go for play groups if you're a mom.
Yeah.
Don't isolate yourself.
Yeah.
You have to create your home where you are. Because when I say back home, I mean back home Uganda. This is also home. When I go to visit over there, when I tell the kids, when we go back home, we mean here.
Okay. Can I ask just how long did it take for you to feel like London or the UK was home?
I think maybe it must have been like last week.
Last week? I thought you were going to be like, yeah. Go through some of the privileges that you are experiencing as a doctor.
I think the number one thing is being a doctor helps. It helps a lot because, for instance, we are in a single income family, which is not ideal, but at the same time, I feel like we can actually afford it.
Okay.
If we could not, we wouldn't do it. So that's a big, big privilege because it means that my husband can stay at home and look after the kids. It means we don't have that worry of childcare.
Yeah.
We don't have a business of having to think about childminders, nurseries, especially in the earlier years. So that helps us a lot.
Okay.
So we are there with our kids. It's either me or him.
Okay.
It's a lot of work, but I think it's worth it in the long run because the early years, they say they rush by. The days don't feel that way, but apparently, eventually we'll look back.
When you've been told you've got the wisdom, it's fine, yeah.
Also, in the long span of things, because life is long, it will look like for just 5-10 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, especially now that we're done having our kids. Like,
no more?
no. I
Don't
can't
disappoint
also.
me.
No, I had a hysterectomy, you see.
Oh.
Yeah, so I can't biologically have children. Again, yeah.
Okay.
I have my story over in my channel if you go and want to watch that.
Yes.
Yeah, my complicated pregnancy and all that.
You're with your, because
With my last,
the baby.
yeah, with a baby.
So done having kids, but
yeah,
because you are a doctor, because you make a decent enough amount for now, it's like you can, don't have to pay for childcare.
You don't have to pay for childcare.
Which would be crazy.
Ridiculously expensive. It's more than people's mortgages at times. Yeah.
So that makes sense. So that's one of your privileges as a doctor. Yeah. And in terms of like your family setup here, what issues then would you say you've had? What kind of problems have you guys faced?
I think the challenges would be for maybe visa fees. We're constantly saving for visa fees. Even now we're saving up for indefinite leave to remain fees. We need 5K. I need 5K within the next 3 months to pay for our application.
Okay.
For just 2 of us, meanwhile. It's just me and my husband applying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then the kids will apply next year.
Okay. And so that process. So do you still pay for? Because you came on, was it tier 2?
We actually came on a student visa.
Student visa,
And
both
then
of you.
switched, yeah, both of us. And then we switched to work visa.
Okay.
Yeah. And then next we're applying for permanent residency.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what we're applying for next. That's another privilege that if you've been a doctor or on a healthcare worker visa, after 5 years you're eligible for permanent residency. Well, if you're in another field, it takes you 10 years.
Yeah, I was thinking that seems quite short. Okay.
Yeah.
And so even though like you're the doctor, but your husband kind of can
as well, together
goes with you as well. Okay, so 5 years on your visa. So initially on the student and then work.
Yeah.
Okay, so visa fees
are
and
a lot.
that application process, I can imagine, is just time consuming as well.
Yeah.
Any other sort of challenges you guys have faced?
Well, like challenges of life in the UK, maybe it's the bad weather, the bad food. The food's really bad.
What's wrong with the food? Fish and chips?
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like, I mean, you can't eat organically. Like organic food is expensive. We can't afford it on our budget. And yet in Uganda, you can afford organic food. So I'm recently getting more concerned about how much ultra-processed food I'm having as a family. Yeah. Like the tomatoes. Imagine, every sauce you use tomatoes. Yeah. And then we don't buy the fresh ones. We buy the canned ones. Yeah. We're now switching. But when I first came, the food wasn't tasting nice. When I would cook it, it wouldn't taste nice. Right. And then I asked my auntie, what's the problem? Like the tomatoes don't dissolve. And then she said I was using the wrong ones. I was using like salad tomatoes. Oh, okay. But also she said that people here use the canned ones. They're the ones that are juicy. Yeah. But the thing is, there's these added preservatives and added things
in the can. Yeah.
So those are the things that I'm concerned about. Even the bread alone, the bread here stays fresh for so long. And I love bread. And why is that? There's so many chemicals added. While the bread in Uganda doesn't stay as fresh as the bread here. Yeah. And it's a good thing for the bread to go bad quickly because it means it's fresh, like it's actually good. But here they add so many chemicals. Yeah. So the food here, I don't like it. Even the kids' skin has eczema. From being here. When we go to Uganda, their skin clears up. That's fine. So there's something about being in this country.
Oh my! So whether that's the weather, that's the food, well, definitely, yeah.
And then racism, obviously, racism. And also growing up, raising kids here, you're worried about them experiencing racism at school or in the community, which is things I didn't experience growing up personally. In Uganda, I didn't experience racism. So I worry about that. I haven't experienced overt racism, to be honest. Okay. Just like microaggressions.
In the workplace?
In the workplace.
In the community or
I
with people
can't
around?
say that I have.
Okay.
Yeah. Although on the other hand, I do know that it's because we don't know what it is. As first generation immigrants, for the longest time, you can't tell what is racist.
Really?
Yes. Especially if it's not overt racism where someone is saying, hey, you go back where you came from. But if it's just minor things, for me, for the longest time, I didn't know that is not right. Someone shouldn't be telling you that. Like... Yeah,
but you're adjusting to the culture as well. So
so we're learning, and then you're like, oh, okay, that's actually not a good thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mostly I worry for my children, to be honest, more than myself. Yeah.
But on the whole, would you say your experience so far in the last 6 years has been?
It's been mostly positive. Yeah, that's why I'm still here.
Mm.
That's why also, you know how when people ask you, go back where you came from, which I haven't been asked yet, but I have my answer already. I feel like for me, I feel like I can actually go back, you know, because for me, like I have a home, I know I have where I came from, I can go back. But for my kids, this is their home.
Yeah.
So even that question, they'll take it differently.
Yeah, that's true. Or if somebody does say it to them, your response or theirs.
Yeah, so that's why that's second generation. You guys, your mental health is at higher risk than ours. Because for us, we brought ourselves here. We willingly carried ourselves. Like even the struggles, you know, you brought yourself. No one forced you. You know, so that makes you bear more.
Yeah.
Like you pay that fees, but you know, like there's something you're trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
But if you were born here, it wasn't your choice.
Yeah.
To be uprooted from your ancestral like country or home and be brought to this foreign land, and now this must be your home, and then
I'm with you. Ooh, that nicely like leads us to, so what's the plan moving forward? So tell us a little bit about what you're up to now, a little bit about what you're doing, YouTube, everything.
Yes, so I'm doing YouTube, I'm working, so I'm still in my training for psychiatry training. So to be a consultant, I have 4 more years.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 to 4 more years to become a consultant psychiatrist, but I'm already a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
So the first half of the training is 3 years, so I'm in my 3rd year now.
Okay.
Yes, I'm nearly
Congrats.
done.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've done all my exams, so it's really just a matter of time and I'm done with that. I would want, going forward, I want to have Uganda somehow in my life. So I want to be going back to Uganda, not just for holiday. I want to also be doing some work there, maybe seeing patients.
Okay.
Like I want to use my skills to help my people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So doing a little, like, obviously your work here, but also...
Because I want my kids to have Uganda as a part of them. I want them to visit and to have that option of home. So I want to be going there often. I can't afford it right now. That's why I'm not doing it. But I know I'm making steps towards being able to do that.
Doing that in the future.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. Very nice. Ooh, okay. So last 2 questions. What advice, so having, you know, you've been here 6 years, 3 beautiful children, and you know you're a psychiatrist, you're working, you've got these plans for the things that you want to do back home as well in Uganda and home here too. What advice would you give to any other Ugandan, any other African person thinking of coming to the UK? What recommendations would you give? Words of wisdom, please.
Come over.
Come. Okay.
You should come. I think you should come. I think it's really good. Like traveling opens your mind. You see things you never saw before. You appreciate your country more. I think every Ugandan deserves to leave Uganda. That's the only way we'll love it.
Hey.
People don't love Uganda, let me tell you. Do you know we have even a patriotism like course? No, not course, like club in schools. You know how we have Girl Guides?
Yes.
Scouts?
Yeah.
There's patriotism club.
Right.
That was started by the government to try and encourage people.
No way. I've never heard of it.
It's a thing, yeah. To try and encourage people to love their country.
To love the country.
And I think what would help us would be to leave. If you leave, then now you love Uganda.
And you appreciate it. So do you appreciate you get like now?
I appreciate Uganda now so much because I left. Now I even want to go back. If I hadn't left, I think I wouldn't have loved it as much.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what makes us love our countries, is that leave Uganda, come and see what's out here, and you realize the beauty we have, all the good things we have. So come. If you're a doctor, check out my channel. I show you all the steps. If you're a nurse, I've made a video with a nurse.
Beautiful. Okay.
If you're an allied health professional, radiographers, occupational therapists, speech and language therapists, I've also made a video showing you how you can come.
Okay.
So
you've got all
don't
the
say
advice.
I didn't tell you.
That's true.
Wahura.
I like it.
Yeah. So,
all right. So come.
Yeah.
And more like not just to be here, I guess, but more to like see the value that you have that maybe you're
see the value, but also then we go back, because I feel like Ugandan diaspora or African diaspora as a whole, really, I think we have a huge role to play in helping our countries, because a lot of the people that I know now want to go back home, want to do things back home, and it's because we have left and we've gained skills and all these things, and we see a huge need back home. Yeah, so I think that's why the Mupo should come, because we have so many things we need, but then we don't yet have the resources, but we have human resource. So people come, train up, and then can go back.
And do something.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay. That's good advice for those in Uganda or Africa thinking about coming here.
Yes.
What about then for people in your situation now? You're already here. Maybe you've been here a couple of months, a few years.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to Ugandans, African people in diaspora here?
Yeah, my advice is that before we go back home, you're home where you are. Embrace the area where you are. Integrate. Be a good immigrant.
Hey!
Integrate. So, well, before because I want to go home, yes, but the point is where you are is also home. So I think try and be comfortable where you are while you're there.
Yeah.
Because wherever you are, it's a season. You don't know when you're going to go back home, but before you've gone back home, where you are is also your home. So appreciate the place.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, myself included. I'm talking to myself too here. Don't be so mean every time. Every time I'm so mean sometimes to the British. Like, I'm like, oh, what is this that...
Then people are up to what's this nonsense?
Yeah, what's this nonsense?
But and I'm like, no,
yeah.
I need to appreciate.
I need to appreciate and appreciate the good, because there's a lot of good. That's why you're still here. You know?
Oh, you're so cute. I like it. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Allowing me to interview you. Thank you for just everything you've shared with us and sharing your story, your experiences on your terms. I really, really appreciate it. I know 100% they appreciate it. So everybody, you are subscribing, you're liking Dr. Cissy's channel as well. So make sure I put links in the description box. Things will come up on the screen too. But thank you again. This is NorSpeaksOut, everybody. And for today, Dr. Cissy has spoken. And so we're asking you, Wahura.
Wahura.
Yes, which means, are you listening?
Yeah.
Right, listen. Right. Bye, guys. Bye.